Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Tyler and I'm here at Campus Acura in Victoria, British Columbia. Today we are going to be going through a more in-depth video and walk-around of the 2021 Acura TLX. Alright, so we are going to start this detailed walk-around with the actual heart and soul of the brand new TLX here. Now what they've done with the engine is they've actually changed it to the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Now that is the same VTEC engine that is in the 2021, 2020 and 2019 RDX. Obviously this was tuned a little bit differently just to match the kind of spirit of a premium sports sedan. Now what they've also done is put in a new 10-speed automatic transmission. Now personally I was a huge fan of the 8-speed dual clutch, so I was a little wary about the 10-speed, but it actually really blew me away. It was similar to the RDX, but I felt like it was just quicker and just matched the sedan a little bit better. Now what they've also done, which is another huge aspect to this vehicle, is the double wishbone suspension. Now what that's going to do for you when you're actually driving the vehicle, whether it's a straight line, whether you're going around the corners, whether you got in sport mode and really having fun with it, is you just feel more kind of locked down to the road. So you got that tighter grip, but you just have more control of the vehicle. Now what they've also done with the front is obviously the redesign, well not quite redesign, but differently put diamond pentagon grille, is they've actually redone the jewel eye LED lights. Now these LED lights, they are very different than a halogen. With a halogen, you're going to get 3 different colors of the rainbow coming out of that light. With the LEDs, you actually get the full color spectrum. That is going to make a huge difference in the nighttime. You'll actually be able to tell the difference between like a brown and a green, or like a deer in a field. It's something that you really have to drive it to really notice it, especially coming into the winter seasons. You'll really be able to see it because it's getting dark so much earlier. Now what they've also done with this A-Spec, and it's very particular to the A-Spec, is they've actually gone to the 19-inch rims. All the other rims on the other vehicles are going to be the 18s. These tires, the Michelins, will be only for the A-Spec. You'll also notice they are slightly wider as well. Now there's a couple more kind of features that are particular to the A-Spec, including the badging. We'll go through a couple other things, especially in the passenger side. All right, so moving down the TLX, we're going to take a look at the passenger features here. Now one thing I really like that Acura is starting to do on almost all their vehicles is include power options for the passenger seating. Now one thing that they've done, especially with this vehicle, kind of started in the RDX, is really give the passenger that same feeling of the performance of the vehicle, of just experiencing the great drive, right? You obviously may not have the steering wheel right in front of you on the passenger side, but it feels like you're really taking part in the driving experience, which is very new for Acura. They have been known to be kind of very soft and luxurious in that segment, but coming into this new TLX, you really feel like you're participating more in it. So even when I step into the vehicle, you're still going to get access to all the great features. So again, you're going to have the power seating here, but you have access to the touchpad, you have access to the different volume controls. You're not reaching over into the driver's side and perhaps, distracting the driver from that driving experience. But sitting in this cockpit feel, noticing all the great contrasting stitching, the great finishing of the vehicle, even the way that the actual windowsill is placed up, it's just everything's different and getting everyone more involved. Now another part that Acura's done so well at for so long is actually that ACE body structure. I know you can't hear it or feel it, but that extra thud that you get when you do close the door is just a much more rigid frame. Makes it a lot more quiet when you're driving the vehicle, but also a lot more, again, connected to the ground. And that's going to be the common theme that you're going to hear me talking about quite a bit through this video, is that everything's more connected. Right? So from the wheels to the transmission to the engine to the throttle, even using the NSX electro braking system that is actually developed for the NSX, it's the same system that's actually put in this vehicle. Obviously different brakes and everything like that, but the actual kind of inspiration came from our supercar. Now even if we go to the back door here, you are going to have lots of room to be able to put in a child seat. You are getting that 5-star safety rating and everything like that. Now, one thing I'm going to show you next is very cool, because I'm an avid golfer and I'm always outside, whether I'm playing sports or going on a hike or going up island, is the actual amount of room they've developed in the trunk. 382 cubic liters, which is one of the industry leaders at this time. It's absolutely outstanding to be able to fit anything you want in it. All right, so moving to the back of the TLX, you're gonna notice that the actual shape and the lines really flow from the front all the way to the back. Now, one thing you'll really notice is how much more aggressive these actual lines are. This back panel is really gonna pop out more over the rear wheel, but it still has that flat design to it. Now, kind of sweeping around, just like all the other lines on the car do, they're gonna match the taillights that have been redesigned. Now, you're also gonna recognize a certain feature on all the A-specs, which is this rear spoiler. Again, inspiration taken from the NSX. This is obviously not the carbon fiber version, but it does have a very, very similar shape and function to the vehicle. Now, one other aspect that you'll notice, again with the lines, the large rectangular exhaust pipes leading into the back, which really match the back skirts. Now, one great part about this vehicle, it is a sedan, it is very sporty, but you can also use it for anything throughout the day or throughout the year. You now have 382 cubic liters of space in the rear trunk. Now, that is an industry leader at the moment. Obviously, all records are meant to be broken, but for the time, you can still fit your golf clubs in perfectly straight. There's no taking out a drive or anything like that. You can fit a stroller in there, no problem. You can even pop down the seats just like in previous generations of the Acuras and put skis and snowboards in there. So going along with all the space that we can put into this vehicle is the biggest one, the SHAWD, Super Handling All-Wheel Drive. Now, what that gets you for people that are not so familiar with the Acuras is 100% torque vectoring on each wheel. If you're stuck in the snow perhaps, or you're going up to the ski mountain, whether it's Whistler, Mount Washington, and it's snowing really hard, if 3 different wheels start slipping, let's say the front 3, and this is the only wheel that can actually get traction, the computers are gonna use that different torque to make sure it channels all the torque to that back wheel, slowly getting you out of any kind of jam. Now, whether you're stuck in the snow, whether you're going on the highway, it's always gonna make sure it's tuning the best performance possible for you. So along with the 382 cubic liters of cargo space in the back of the TLX, they've also added a couple things and got some European inspiration to really affect the performance of the vehicle. So what they've done is actually put the battery underneath the trunk here. So instead of having that back cargo space like you did in previous generations of the TLX, they've actually gotten rid of that and put in the battery in the lowest spot they can. This way it's really evening out the weight distribution and lowering the center of gravity. It's going to have a dramatic effect on the performance of the vehicle, especially when you're going around corners. All right, so when we first get in the 2021 TLX, you're going to notice a lot of similarities from the RDX. Now, they have updated and made slight improvements. Whether those slight improvements are now a digital speedometer on it, you can change that from kilometers an hour to miles per hour now. So if you are traveling down south or vice versa, that's no problem at all. There's no more excuses to the police for those speeding tickets. But you're also going to notice they've kind of redone the layout a little bit on the steering wheel. Now, with that being said, this steering wheel has been changed. They got the flat bottom on it, so it's a much more sport-inspired steering wheel that will be on the A-Spec. But even when it comes to the center console, again, you're gonna feel like you're in a cockpit, but everything is just more in touch. Whether it's the way and the layout that you actually have your hands when you are driving the vehicle, having a nice little wrist pad to where your wrist or your hands can actually just rest on the trackpad, having the audio controls right next to your hand where you can skip songs, stations, or turn on and off the radio. One thing that I really like that they've done that we were really hoping for was the dynamic modes. You can now adjust all your different dynamic modes and make them individual. So when I press and hold the middle button on the dynamic mode, I can now go through the engine, I can make that a sport tune. I can go through the steering and make that more soft or more kind of touchy to match what I want to do and match what I want to feel when I'm driving the vehicle. One of the things that I always say to all of my clients, if you are not comfortable and you are not confident in the very front of the vehicle, then you should not be in the vehicle. You should not be driving that car. Now, with the TLX, I find it very difficult for you to get in this vehicle and not feel comfortable. Whether it's the actual seat with the Alcantara and the leather combination, the steering wheel, or even the setup. Now, even when all of that feels perfect, you still have to have some appeal to the eye. what they've done is actually added this ambient lighting in all the different trims around the vehicle. In the A spec, it will be red. You cannot change that. That red is going to match all the cross stitching throughout the vehicle. But if you were to get in the Platinum Elite, there are actually, I think there's something like 30 plus different colors that you can choose from. Now, one thing I wish we could do, which we can't right now obviously, is this light out. In the dark, if you can drive this vehicle in the dark, not only for the Jewel Eye LED lights, but also to really get a feel of that ambient lighting. I personally didn't think it was that big of a deal. I kind of thought they were just trying to copy Benz and you know, make it not gimmicky, but just make it kind of keep up with the times. But the way they've done it is they haven't overdone it. It's just the tiny little touches that get that kind of second look when you're driving the vehicle or when your passenger's in the vehicle. It feels more natural, it feels more personalized, and it just feels more fitted to each individual. Now, one thing Acura's always been notorious about is the technology in their vehicle. There's quite a few things within them that I haven't heard the best things about, honestly. When I've been looking at YouTube videos when the RDX first came out, there was a lot of people kind of trashing the trackpad. And so when I got in it, I'm thinking the same thing. It's like, why do I want this laptop trackpad? It's going to distract me when I'm actually driving. Now, I feel like a lot of people actually don't know how to use it properly. I find this so much easier than having to reach up, turn a knob until I get to the exact positions, and then pressing go. What you can do with this trackpad is it actually has hotspots. So for example, if I want to go to navigation, my navigation is going to be in the top left-hand part of my infotainment screen. Well, what this trackpad is going to do is it's going to mirror that screen. So I simply just put my finger at the top left, which is going to go directly to navigation, and give it a click. I can now do that because of the trackpad and it has the ridges around it. I know where my finger is at. Even when I'm focused on the road with my hands on the steering wheel, I'm gonna know where my different icons are and how to get to them. I actually find I keep my eyes on the road much longer this way, and it's much more easy to actually navigate. Now, again, with the tech, you're always gonna have the latest and greatest with Acura. You will have Apple CarPlay, you will have Android Auto, you will have a much better updated navigation system to where you can actually talk to it. I know a lot of times in the past, the navigation systems that are built in the hard drive, they haven't been good. Unless you've had the real address, the postal code, the zip code, to where you could put it in, it was extremely hard to find places. Now by just pressing the speak button once, I can ask the navigation to take me to the closest grocery store, take me to the nearest Thrifty Foods, take me to the nearest Four Seasons hotel. It's gonna recognize them a lot better and a lot easier and give you those directions right away. That was probably the biggest tech difference that I noticed on it, as well as adding more creature comforts. You're gonna have the wireless charging pad in here now. I can just pop my phone down on it and it will fit anything from an iPhone 10 right here all the way up to the brand new 12 Max. It has plenty of space on it. Now, if you don't want to use it for a charging pad, you just want to throw some change on it or something, it's very easy. Press the power button, it turns right off, and it's going to stop that wireless charging. Now, when you go out and you actually drive this vehicle, one thing I will again say to all my clients, comfort and confidence is number one in the vehicle, but there is a lot of tech. Always make sure your salesman is going through different aspects of it at your own pace. When you first drive the vehicle, try to ignore those little things. Focus on the drive, because the drive is truly the best part about this TLX. It really blew me away. I mean, with that being said, I haven't driven the NSX yet, right, Acura? You're gonna fly me down to Columbus soon, right? Until that happens, this is probably the closest I'm gonna get to actually driving that feel of a car. When you're taking the turns, really notice how the car doesn't roll. Again, that's from having that center of gravity very centered and low. Once you get used to those things and the driving feel of it and you become comfortable and confident, the tech almost takes care of the rest. It's very, very intuitive. It's once you start driving the vehicle, everything will take care of itself. So really, you gotta go drive this car, guys. I really look forward to our next video. It's either gonna be on the NSX or what we're all really, really crossing our fingers for that arrives soon is the brand new MDX. Alrighty everyone, thank you so much for joining me. This does conclude the walk around video for the 2021 Acura TLX. So the next time you see me, hopefully very soon, will be on the brand new MDX. Again, my name is Tyler from Campus Acura here in Victoria, British Columbia, and thank you so much for joining.